The 20X initiative, 20 have talents of endearment. Dr. Abed Baidas.
And I am the talent that everybody has been talking about. Good evening. Thank you. Although it's cold, but I feel the passion and the warmth of the environment and everything, and everybody that's being here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى سائر الأنبياء والرسل. Good evening, everybody. It is an exceptional evening, for sure. It's an honor to have you all join us here this evening. It's a privilege for us. Thank you. Thank you. There is words have been said, well spoken. Emotions is floating, and I feel it, and I'm sure a lot of us feels it also. But why are we here today? What are we starting? What are we looking forward to? Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Ajmal, for hosting us in this beautiful home, showing us the gratitude and the graciousness and the warmth and the laughs that we started this journey, actually, which is this evening together. And I would like to thank Mr. Ors. Excuse me if I'm not going to be able to pronounce your last name. Somebody could later, I am sure of that. Thank you, Mr. Osman Sultan. And it's always a joy to hear your dynamic speeches. It's impressive. Thank you, Mr. Abdullah Al-Banna, for the energy that you generate when you come up and makes me feel live and young again. Young again. I'm over 20. We all know. I'd like to special warm thanks for the special person in my life, my wife. It's enough that she's putting up with me and standing by me. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be smiling here tonight. Let me start with a little bit of a romantic speeches. I don't want to get involved in talking about what's Identity Branding Forum. We are an expert house providing branding services all over the world since 1996. We have our hallmarks all over the world. That said, let me get started with my speech is going to be a little bit of a romantic one. Not of a love sharing, but emotional experience. That's what I would like to share. Well said when we said the future is uncertain. It is, and it is not. Competition is brutal. The present is chaotic. To the few that are pessimistic about the future and what we have today. Google is controlling us. No question, no ifs or buts about it. Yet today we are more connected, that has been said, than ever before. All the technologies in the world, artificial intelligence floating all over us. Google is monitoring us. God knows who else is really watching what's going on and controlling our decisions and what we say and what we do as we progress. Yet, with all the connection that we have, we are really disengaged. We no longer, not knowing each other, but we no longer knows the humans within us. We don't know ourselves anymore. How do you expect the world to know who you are or the value you can bring to us? As we are today, business is not just as unusual. We hear a lot, business is unusual. It is not just unusual. It's madhouse. It's crazy. Why am I saying that? Rational, everybody knows what the word means, is now irrational. True? What we thought is ridiculous, is impossible, and I would never wear a torn-up jeans 20 years ago, but today it's being sold for high prices I wouldn't even dare to think about. It would have been logical to save my old torn-up jeans to sell them today. Logic is being controlled and managed by machines today. When I talk about business logic. True? Alarmed? Scared? Let me give you a little bit, take it further, to be scared more. Imagine the world wakes up tomorrow morning and Google vanished. Boom, no more Google. What's life gonna be like? Has anybody thought about that? In our pursuits for technologies, artificial intelligence, we never stopped a minute to think what could happen if no more Google. You're in the middle of the desert, middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden Google is gone. Your journey is gone. Your whole destination is out of your way. What you gonna do? Go back to the old Bedouin ways? Or Indians? Signal each other with smoke? What are we gonna do? I want you to imagine something further. The story of Google is a lot bigger than the Y2K in 2000. Most of us has lived that experience, right? Do you remember what happened before the year of 2000 celebrated? The Y2K scare? It wasn't real. It was a test for our brutalness in our pursuits into technologies and intelligence and history is repeating itself, by the way. We're going to have another test in a couple of years, maybe sooner. Imagine that online fails tomorrow because of a madman sitting in the White House holding a button, ready to push it, because he doesn't like Huawei and what it's doing worldwide. It's that scary. Did you think about that? Are you prepared for that moment? Should that moment occur, where do we do? Perhaps humanity continues, it doesn't stop. If Google ceased to exist, I want you to imagine this carefully. The consequences would be as big as the exodus of Noah's Ark. How many businesses is going to disappear? How many jobs are going to be lost? How many communities is going to be gone? Because we are left to be controlled and managed by machines. The good news is we wanted to offset this balance, to think a little bit more to create a balance. Instead of us focusing on artificial intelligence, we wanted to focus on what's called human intelligence. Go back to basics. Does anybody know in the last 100 years how many Einstein do we have? None. We have innovation, but we don't have creation. Correct? Everything that we have today is just an innovation of something that was built 100 years ago. That's the consequences. Going back to basics is we really need to focus. And what we have done, so instead of waiting for Google to vanish, we had Identity Branding Forum decided to go to basics and human intelligence. Because that's the future. I like artificial intelligence, but it's not the future. It's tools that is scaring everybody. Build talents that can take us further than we are today with Google. You see, Google has been working on basics and human intelligence to get connected and engaged with people. You are misled completely if you think Google is about technology. That's what it does. But its business is not technology. The company is not about technology. Its business is technology. But what Google does, basically, is they focus, invest heavily on people, getting connected to people and engage with people to find out exactly where are the future opportunities. They develop solutions, they develop products, they develop technologies that gets us hooked on them, so we stay hooked to Google. Smart companies with intelligent products. You see, that's where I got my slogan, smart husband for an intelligent wife. It's a smart company for intelligent technologies. That's what Google is. So today we are so hooked to Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all of the major technology companies are all in one way or another hooked through Google's. I'm using that as an example because the likes of Google's are a lot out there. But this is just an example for us to wake up to think, what else should we be doing in alignment with the technologies that we are pursuing today? While Google has been pursuing people to get connected and engaged, we businesses are losing that connection, focusing on the technologies that are being provided to us. We no longer know our market. Restaurants today are no longer in control of their menus. Manufacturers are no longer in control of their products. Who's in control? Whoever got that data. And who got that data? Google. So your Google basically became your eminent GPS for everything you do in your life. Isn't that scary to wake up in the morning and it's gone? Really? We have been relying as businesses on Google and everything that we do. As people, we have been as well. Got us hooked to everything in our life that now we are proud and we embrace quickly everything that is being given to us without thinking of the consequences behind it. At Identity Branding Forum, we developed a program called Talents of Endearment. Does anybody have a problem knowing what that term means? Talents of endearment is the ability of people to get to know people. You see, in branding, we think it's about value, purpose that you create in life. Imagine today that we are able to replicate what Google does to create the technologies and the opportunities that we pursue, to do it at the level of human intelligence for our children at schools, colleges, jobs, entrepreneurs, to be able to do exactly what Google is able to do to create the technologies for us, but instead we're doing it ourselves, dependent on ourselves, not on other companies to give us and control us. What do you think is going to happen next? Am I mesmerizing you all or getting you to think? Human basics is where the real business opportunity is. Mr. Osman Sultan said, together to identify human opportunities, that's where we have to start today. That's what the opportunities are that we start of today, basically. To acquire the talents that can help us them, connect people together, engage them, to come up with opportunities. Imagine today with students that has an uncertain future. That's what everybody's worried about. What's we gonna do tomorrow? Where the jobs is gonna come tomorrow? Are able now to create their own career path, and they design their jobs opportunities to tell the companies, this is the jobs you're gonna give me. Isn't that amazing? Can we do it? Sure we can. Because Google is doing it, but differently. Google is doing it and giving us the technologies to become dependent on that company. But instead, we want that people, youth, to be able to do that themselves instead of Google doing it for us. Talents of endearment will help people predict the future with greater degree of accuracy. Why? because they're going to be focused on people, the communities, the families, the surroundings that they have, the businesses that's surrounding them. So everything becomes so connected, engaged, and relevant. So what we will be doing is creating a smart generation that is able to go to take technologies, the intelligent technologies that we have horizontally for the greater benefits of the whole community that they live in. That's the impact we're looking to create. And that's the focus that we are working on today. This will transform learning and business to new heights, where people are no longer threatened by machines and uncertain future, and business becomes usual again, because we know what's going to come. Instead of somebody predicting it for us, we are the one going to be predicting it ourselves, for ourselves. After 25 years in research and development and years of worldwide experience, we at Identity Branding Forum have been able to bring the massive international experience and major achievements that we have done all over the world to serve you and help our children to lead a certain future and a better life. I told you I was going to be a little bit romantic. To bring this to the world, we are launching a 20X initiative worldwide. Everybody has got their X, so we thought to have our X. We're entitled to. We work hard for it. It's actually the idea of Dr. Mustafa Sassa. In one of our meetings, he says, let's have a 10X. He says, no, I don't like 10X because somebody else got it. He says, well, how about 20X? He says, fine, let's go to 20X. 20X means 20 years developing infinite opportunities for the world through our kids. You see, we established our first milestone that if we hit 1 million people worldwide, in the next 5 years, we're doing great. This journey started in November. Luckily, in 3 months or less, we already have an access demand of 700,000 people. Thanks to India, majorly, in UAE as well. So we're moving very fast that we said, well, slow down, whoa. We are not opportunities, flood the world's opportunities because that requires a lot of resources. So what are we gonna do? He says, well, let's get the elite minds, business leaders, to stand behind this opportunity. And we have been extremely lucky, thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we have been able to put together some of the best. I don't want to say the best because I don't want to hurt anybody's feeling. I got to be a little bit of a diplomat. The Swiss Business Council taught us that a little bit. That we've been able to bring together some of the most distinguished and a lot of the big names that you're very familiar with. I want to start with Ms. Farida Ajmal, our host. Thank you. But what people don't know, Farida, you would feel that she is a mother. And I'm not talking about Asia. I'm talking about feelings and emotions, that she is very passionate about what she believes in. And she stands firm by it. And after I'm meeting with Mr. Ajmal tonight, I can see why. And I also want to add a new addition to our board of trustees, Dr. Mariam Matar, which a lot of you are familiar with her. She is the young top scientist in UAE and the Arab world, and we are proud to have her on our board as well. And I want to add also the infamous Mr. Osman Sultan, the founding CEO of DEW, bringing beauty to life. That's the anticipation. And I want to also include the great passionate friend, Mr. Samir Abdul Hadi. He's with us as well tonight. He made an effort to be here today because he was in the hospital for some checkups. So thank you for you to be able to make it. And I want to also not forget the dynamic Dr. Mustafa Sassa. He's the guy that keeps me on my toes all the time, chasing him. And I also want to thank the brilliant CEO of SPJ School of Global Management, He's unfortunately not with us today because his wife is at the hospital. Just pray for her. And I want to also thank the digital mind, Dr. Nabil Al-Qadi, president of MENA College of Management. He always talked bits and bytes. And I could never understand that language, but I says, well, you're there. I don't need to understand it. And I want to also thank my favorite troubleshooter, Mr. Gautam Sengupta. He's always the person that keeps me at check. He says, well, let's not change things, do things. And I appreciate what you're doing. And I also want to talk about the man, what I call him, the man of the forever lightning ideas, Mr. Ravi Anand. He's of General Electric, but unfortunately, board meetings today couldn't be with us today. And I'll also thank the energy man behind the program, Mr. Abdullah Al-Banna. Thank you. I would like to close reminding you all that on March the 14th, we're going to be holding a panel discussion at SPJ School of Global Management. And the topic of that session is going to be what happens when you give people a voice and a choice. We have leaflets. Please take one, register for it, and join us. You don't want to miss that one. It's going to be for next Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. March 4th.
Not 14.
4th.
You said 14.
I said 14? I told you I'm romantic.
Not study for romantic, yeah.